By the way, I mean, just to you guys, I guess, but well, we're just we did make some other video, like the one I put up about that was related to that guy Bernie Sanders or whatever, like that like whatever, just that started a chain of videos. There may be some other ones in there, but what's weird is I was looking for the thing about the political economy of the American Revolution because in that same part I put something about one of the ways in which it was like I said, like, part of what when we were still before the economy got in, they did this to it. You know, part of the issue, like with healthcare and stuff, like it's really interesting. I'd love to know how they think we should move. We can't even talk about moving forward because people want it like repealed. But it'd be interesting to know like how to move forward when part of the issue is like there are there's it's like okay when there isn't health care at work or something, like when a job doesn't have health care. Okay, let me give you an example. The thing with they want to take away the individual mandate for like super small businesses, right? I mean, because like, but part of what can't go on there either, like they like at a small business. Not only can their guys employing like his nephew and one other person, and it's a tiny like auto body shop. Like he can't have like health benefits. Like the whole place would shut down. It's that kind of business. Okay, so right, that should be sort of taken out. But one of the things that would also be irrational would be if that guy's cousin who works for him and the one other employee said, well, we're gonna unionize and demand it. That doesn't happen. Okay, here's the thing though, right? I mean, part of the thing is like why people like me read about the economic development of Germany, like, is that right? Like our whole like perception of like capital labor relations and things is so primitive compared to how other societies have like worked that out. I mean, like I said, I talked about like how you find that it's so fascinating in Germany, like the evolution of it, like that, like one of the reasons we got into the situation we have is when capital decided to wage a one-sided class war, okay, has gotten us into this situation where, like, no one has any work, no one has any health care, like, it's like everyone, and there's just hatred on both sides. But, part of the way that got set off is that to begin with, our understanding, like, the way, like, our political class and the way our economy works, like, with regard to those things, it's as though we're in, like, the 1800s, and it's just, like, owners versus unions. Like no, they're other like civilized countries and advanced societies, like there's so much to like how they've worked out such things. Health benefits, unions, and things. I mean, how they've capital labor relations is like something that was sort of taken seriously. Like how because then that way you would prevent, like, for example, like I said, they have in Germany, like the way it evolved, they had to sort of count like. They had like a union, but then there was also something that they called a council that was only at the level of like individual plants, right? So you could have a situation where like you wouldn't have, everything wouldn't have to be uniform. There was room for all kinds of discussion, but part of that is they in their like German parliament or whatever always have like highly intelligent people who like discuss such things logically about things like healthcare and workers getting benefits and healthcare for people that don't are unemployed or whatever it is. With having representatives that are like politicians, like that, they're not really a good a good picture of what a political class would be talking about. Nothing ever happens. Nothing ever gets done. I mean, even if I'd like them to keep, obviously, what Obama put in place. It's something to help kids who get sick, but at the same time, it's hard to imagine moving forward when the mentality of the representatives and their lack of apparent awareness of like the economic history of other countries, of how things are done in civilized countries and stuff. It's as though we start from scratch and argue. Look at how other when they talked about Denmark and Sweden the other night. I said my first reaction was like, oh, well, I mean, it's a much healthier population. But, it would be good to know, like, what they should bring on the news, like, people, representatives from, the different parliaments and countries like that, and explain, like, how they've done healthcare there and what's worked and what hasn't and what their thoughts are. Or, bring on the business class from some countries like that, like my friend Boris, and have them explain what their position is, like, what their attitude is towards healthcare. Like, we'll see he told me in my society, side, you see we don't mind paying higher taxes because that's why everyone has healthcare. It works very well, and if that's the cost, Stephen, that's the cost. I see. So if higher taxes actually went into a healthcare system, that's how they feel about it. It's a different kind of business class over there that isn't like like screw everyone. Like, oh, like I didn't know. I had never heard anyone speak from, Denmark before, whatever. They keep us insulated. I mean, it's like being in a bubble here. That's why the sort of media and the political class and everyone get away with, like, basically, like, pretending they don't know anything or something, and just rhetoric and everything, because like we're kept isolated from knowing how things are done in other societies and the history of how their economics and healthcare systems developed. It's never on the news. We just live in it's like as though we live in North Korea, like a totally insulated society where we don't know what goes on elsewhere in other industrialized countries. That's a big part of the problem.